Hi, I'm Courtney Nash. I'm an editor with O'Reilly, and I'm joined today by Seth Vargo from Ops Code. Welcome, Seth.
Hello, Courtney.
And we're talking today about the talk that you're going to give at our Velocity conference in June in Santa Clara, which is about task-driven infrastructure with Chef. So, Chef is an Ops Code product and is about configuration management. It's really about infrastructure as code, right? So,
Right.
testing your infrastructure, some people might be a little wary of that, but if you think about infrastructure as code, it seems kind of natural to think you'd need to test it, right? I mean, I'm not
Right.
crazy
Like,
there.
you typically think of infrastructure as the sysadmin, pounding keyboard mashing to get things to work. But with Chef, you get to treat your infrastructure as kind of like plain text files. And just like you can test like a Ruby gem or a Python application, you can actually test your infrastructure.
So talk to me about how people are going about doing that now, and then we'll get into how what you're proposing is maybe a little bit different.
So right now, it's really across the gambit. I was actually on an email chain this morning, somebody asking for the best practices with testing. And the short answer is there isn't one. Different companies and organizations are all over the place. Tools are just starting to mature. But right now, people are either using tools like ChefSpec or Minitest to unit test their cookbooks, and that's just enough. Some people are using integration testing and Minitest Handler to actually converge these recipes on real hardware and then report back on the results. Uh, and then some people are using Test Kitchen, which is an ops code project for spinning up virtual and converging these nodes. So there's really no standard. Things are really across the board, very different. It depends on when you hopped in the chef game, depending on like what tool you use, what was popular at that time.
So in your talk, what are you proposing that's are you going to kind of wrangle this world of various approaches to this?
So I have a recommended workflow, which I think is the first thing that everybody is looking for, is what is the recommended workflow from zero to test that doesn't really exist in the current model. So we're going to start with unit testing because unit tests are super fast. That's the feedback mechanism that you get. In fact, with Chef Spec, you can run about 1,000 specs in 30 seconds. And that's awesome because you can easily test all of your cookbooks in under a minute and pick up any type of regressions, any type of syntax errors, all of that before it even hits the chef server. So that's the first part in this testing infrastructure is let's test things before they even make it into chef. So let's test them as pure Ruby. And then as we move a cookbook through the pipeline, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what is a pipeline. So in Chef, we have this notion of environments. So you have a development environment, you have a staging environment, you have a production environment. You can actually use those environments to move cookbooks through an evolutionary process. So you can move a cookbook from development into staging and then run the converge on staging, and then you can move that cookbook, once you're happy, from staging into production. And if at any point something fails, it never hit your production infrastructure. It failed in staging or in development. And then on the other side of that, there's also the actual integration testing with Test Kitchen. So after you run your unit tests, before you upload to your Chef server, or even before you commit to Git, you're probably going to want to actually run integration tests. And Adam Jacob has been working pretty extensively with Test Kitchen along with Fletcher and Josh, and we found a way to actually run integration tests in like a minute after the instance is spun up, which is super fast because otherwise you need to spin up a full instance, and that can take 30 minutes to an hour depending on the size of your infrastructure. So with the new Test Kitchen stuff that's coming down the pipeline, it's actually feasible to have a developer do a full converge on his or her local laptop before even committing to the Chef server. So you can reduce all of this friction that occurs, or all this potential friction that would occur before even uploading the cookbook to the Chef server. And then after it's uploaded, there are still safeguards for moving that cookbook through your pipeline until it actually makes it to production. And then one of the extra advantages to that pipeline is in the event that something bad makes it into production, because your infrastructure is code, you can actually roll back those changes, which is something that's not really possible with the other tools that exist today.
So that sounds in many ways very cool, but I think also sounds like a lot of more things to deal with in some way. I mean, I think some people might be sort of like rolling their eyes at like all this testing and all this testing before you even say get your cookbook on the server. So my understanding is you're going to be talking about automation of some of this as well. And so can you delve into that a bit?
Right. So, you could very easily do this on the developer side just due to the speed and the ease of use. But like you just said, Courtney, that can be pretty cumbersome and kind of annoying. And one of the things that we kind of stress with Chef is automation, right? Chef is not only configuration management, but it's an automation framework. So one of the use cases that I'm going to discuss is actually pushing your code to Git. So the same way that you would commit your existing Chef repo to Git, you push that cookbook to Git, and then a Jenkins job will actually fire up and run the Chef specs or the mini test. And then it'll also spin up test kitchen instances for you and report back on the results. And then in the event that all of those successfully passed, it'll upload that cookbook to the Chef server for you. So basically, as a developer, all you need to do is git push and then await an email from Jenkins or Travis or whatever your build server is saying that it succeeded or failed. And if it succeeded, you can delete the email and go on with your day. And if it failed, you have a stack trace to figure out exactly what happened. You can make the change and push it. And having Jenkins as the middleman here really prevents anything bad from getting into the Chef server. If the tests don't pass, they don't get uploaded. And that's super critical. And it's very asynchronous. You just do a git push and you can go out for coffee, you can go out for lunch, you can work on your next project. And Jenkins is building in the background on some instance, and you're just going to get the results later. So it's really, really asynchronous. It really fits into the workflow of a lot of different companies out there today, and it really saves developers a lot of time because they can start working on projects that aren't directly related to testing this current cookbook while it's being tested in the background, and they have their local laptops full resources to devote to other development.
It sounds pretty cool. I think you've already covered this, but I'm asking everyone this question anyways. So what superpower will someone have after coming to your talk?
Geez, they'll have a lot of superpowers. I think the biggest superpower is being able to sleep at night. It might not be a superpower in some people's minds, but if you are a sysadmin and you are on pager duty, you're well aware of the 2:35 a.m. pager duty that occurs. And when you're starting to roll out tests into your infrastructure, the number of Nagios alerts drastically decreases. The number of pager duties that go off decrease because you can build tests for that kind of resilience inside your Chef cookbooks. And I think being able to sleep at night is probably the greatest superpower that you'll be able to get out of this talk.
I have to agree. Being able to sleep at night is a pretty awesome superpower. So thanks for that, Seth. And we're looking forward to seeing you in Santa Clara in June.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.